podcast. I hope I'm reaching you all in good health and with high hopes. Tonight, I want to tackle the cost of living in the Bay Area, whether you're a homeowner, renter, student, entrepreneur, dream chaser, or whatever it is that you're doing to keep your head above water and under a roof. I hope you take this with the intended optimism and you get the twist to the title. There's a ton of economic factors that directly contribute to the sky-high cost of living, of doing anything in the Bay Area. But why is it that when I speak to most of my people, the questions they usually have are usually closed-ended? Could it be because we just don't inform ourselves enough about the whys behind the whats? Or is it the inconspicuous way the news and media goes about the passing of tax legislations and distribution of tax money? For those unaware, they walk in darkness will never seek the light. To quote the great Bruce Lee. But after all, what is it that we pay for? The personal income tax is the state's main revenue source. You're paying for a lot, and the truth is that you're never going to know exactly where every single penny goes all the time. It's impossible. But if you're anything like me, could I at least physically see a change around where I live at? And more importantly, since we're paying for the little bit of shit that we get, can we maintain it for longer than we have been, please? Let's throw some numbers out there so that let's throw some numbers out there and not get too crazy. 21.5 billion of surplus money coming into 2020 for good old California. Let's get this straight. I'm not going to stand up here and pose as an economist or lie to myself and say that I know enough about the policies and affirmations that make California tick. I'm just not that guy. I can't determine the cause and effect or the ramifications of allocation of tax money for next year's projections. But I do know what surplus means, and I've never personally used that in a negative sentence. I'm not going to run you through the gauntlet of propositions, current or revised. I'm not here for that. We all have way too much going on to become experts in the going-ons of in-depth economics in California overnight. That's what we pay the professionals for. I just want you to think about it this way. Think about it again. Furthermore, think about it. Since we're going to pay the professionals anyway, why can't our youth become the professionals? If you can't beat them, join them, at least in this example. This brings up a whole new set of questions. How do we get these kids interested? What was it that kept most of us from learning about things like this until we got super old, into our 30s? And how do we reverse engineer it? But at least we cut the bullshit with the closed-ended questions. People seldom correlate paying taxes as future opportunities. Okay, paying taxes sucks. But how can it not be future opportunities? And how can we not hop on the bandwagon of structuring our community better if we're already paying for the fare? And for all you commuters, literally paying for the toll. Let's get these kids in high positions within our government, teach them not to forget where they've come from, and break the systemic mental conditioning. That's what we're supposed to be paying for. That's why this shit is so expensive. So that when I have kids and they're grown, they'll have a forever job. They'll forever not worry as much, and I'll forever be happy knowing that they're good when I forever pass on to the next life. Because there's two things sure in life. That's death and taxes. Here's a question we should all be asking ourselves. Why can't we unite? Latinos, African American, Asian, Caucasian, Middle Eastern, Pacific Islanders, to get that piece of the pie we all know we deserve. And how long is it going to take for us to get our shit together? And make no mistake, the pie is getting smaller. This is the FOF podcast. Marco, shut us off. All right. Good evening, people. I am Jay. That handsome devil over there is in Summer. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Wow, that was a a really, really good monologue there. I was blown away. Each time you step up there, man, you show me something new.
I try to step up to the plate as best as I can, whenever I can, my friends. We have the lovely Diana. How are you doing?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing good. Yeah, they're getting like very, more. It just gets kind of more intimidating to go up there. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
So, but yeah, good job breaking everything down.
You keep raising that bar.
I know. That's all. That's all for sure.
I don't know. I just tried to. I don't know what I do up there sometimes. I just blank out. G, how you doing, my man? How's it going?
Great. Man, that was intense.
How was your day, man?
That was intense. You got me
hooked.
What's going on today? That's what I
Good. How's the day, guys?
Man, I'm doing well. I can't complain at all.
Yeah.
But after hearing that, I'm like, man, I'm fired up like G. Whether you have to start a revolution.
That's what, I don't think it sounds half bad. Revolution. But a revolution in the Woiks, guys, in the Woiks. And I went to go play football yesterday, guys, with my nephews and cousins. With Dr. Antonio Martinez. He invited me over. But I woke up today with my ribs hurt a little bit. You know how we got off the IG live and I told him my ribs hurt? Yeah. I can't figure out why. I don't remember getting hit in the ribs or nothing. So I guess it was that fall. But hopefully, if my nephews and cousins are watching, hopefully we can make it a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing, because it's good to get out there and move around a little bit, especially with my, my leg is kind of hurting and it felt good. Felt good, guys.
Move around, get out.
That's a relief. I told you, G, about it.
This goes back to what we were talking about last week. It's our age.
It's our age, man. Yeah. I fell twice just out the cuts, too. I was trying to take it back. I was hitting the cut. And my body just couldn't take it. It's crazy, man. But I look forward to Wednesdays, guys, because it's exciting to develop something.
Yeah, no doubt. And while you were doing your monologue, I had a flashback and remembered when we were in Pollock's class together and we did a video project where we talked about gas prices being outrageous. And I don't remember exactly what the gas prices were, but I do remember we had to do some really funny moves. We had to kind of sneak off campus, record the video. I don't encourage that at all. And we came back and we just plugged it up to the TV there.
Yeah.
With the little 3 adapter. What is it?
Yeah.
Whatever is that called?
The RCA.
The RCA adapter, and was like, boom, we just did our project.
Yeah.
In the same clothes and everything.
Same clothes, same day.
Yeah.
Man,
my best friend in high school, Eric Vasquez, he waited till the last, literally a day before, not even a day, I'm talking about hours before. He hits me up. He was like, yo, I need help with, doing the project. And so I head to his house. He lives a few blocks from my house. I go to his house. I was like, what do you need help on? I'm thinking, maybe edit some way somehow, or because he had to attach a paper to it as well, right? So you had the video, then you had the paper, and you turned it in. And we needed that to graduate, so to pass his class, and we need his class to graduate high school. So then, I go, and he has nothing, nothing done. Typical Eric Vasquez, right?
Yeah.
Typical. So then I was like, you know what, man? I can help you with the paper, but went back home, got my mom's camera, and he by far had the funniest one that I saw. So what we did is he had a white pit bull, and I was just recording him, and he was siphoning, or he was pretending to siphon the gas out of a car that he had, so all right, so he was siphoning, and then we just cut it, and then we hit we put something that said gas prices are so high that it makes people do crazy things or something like that. And then we let Palomo go, which is his white pit bull that he had. Did you ever see Palomo?
No,
he was a big, massive pit bull. You let him go because you like to chase people, right? When you start running, you'll chase. He's just a friend. He's just playing with him. So he ran away from Palomo, jumped over the fence, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? But
he got an A. Did he get an A?
Yeah, he got an A.
There you go.
Pollock was cracking up, man. Yeah. Was cracking up.
I bet.
Yeah, it was.
We have to dig up that video and watch it on the on the podcast.
That'd be great.
Hit up Eric Vasquez. Where you at?
Some VHS somewhere.
Man, you know what? We did have one of those old school camcorders with the little flip out side piece.
That's what I used.
The little screen. Yeah,
that's what I used.
That's crazy. Now we got iPhones. We don't even need that.
And then just hooked it up to the VCR, guys.
Man, the times fly.
All right, guys, man. So one thing I do want to say that there's been a lot of people reaching out. People are being super supportive. The feedback I receive is so positive in all aspects, and it means so much because people are wanting to get involved. So that means that we're doing something right. I've had a number of folks ask me how they can help, if they can come on the podcast and share, and it's such a blessing to know that maybe throughout these 3 episodes it triggered that feeling, maybe for the first time, or maybe it reignited that fire. So I want to thank everybody who's either reached out or subscribed. The goal here is to get large enough to put some money into our scholarship program. So bear with us as we grind it out. We're going to smoothen out the show and try to strengthen the content in our personal portrays on the content in a positive way, in a positive attitude. All right, so it isn't uncommon for anybody to get lost in everything that life throws our way. I wanted to use tonight as a sort of reminder of something super important that's often left on the back burner of our concerns. Now, my personal opinion is that no matter what political party pulls out this election time, taxes will inevitably go up. Given our current economic situation, the economy is bouncing back a bit, or was bouncing back a bit, and it was made to seem a little better than it was, given the Federal Reserve. They kind of inflated a bubble that made it seem so the deficit is up even before COVID. So things have to happen. But we're going to center our conversation today. We're going to talk about we're not going to talk about whether or not the government is too big or whether we should implement free market more. I just want to talk about what generally affects us here in the Bay Area, more importantly here in Richmond and our neighboring cities. One huge, glaring, and controversial issue that's in our news is the defunding or divesting of police. The topic has a sincere dichotomy. I use sincere because in the end, I really do think that both sides do mean to do better. I still haven't lost faith in humanity yet I know that changes need to be made. Now, our law enforcement gets paid with tax money, right? No surprise there. Before I direct a question to one of these amazing human beings here, I want to make something clear. The term defunding the police is meant to captivate an audience, right? It's deep waters, and make no mistake, it's one of those topics that has major layers and levels. Proper allocation of tax money for professionals better suited for crimes and problems out of the scope of police. It just doesn't have that same ring, right? Defund the police is meant to captivate you. So in Somo, how is it that you feel about this movement, and do you have any personal ties to the defunding of police?
I think you hit it spot on when you talked about how it's a catchy phrase there, defunding the police. Okay, people are going to want to know more about that instantly. Whoa, it's like catchy, it's like clickbait, but reallocating funds doesn't sound as exciting or sound so revolutionary. So are police taking on too many different roles out there in the neighborhoods? Maybe some things that they're not as well equipped to handle? I believe so. Honestly, I mean, there are things that they can handle, and maybe there are certain jobs or certain roles that another professional would be better off to fill. I don't want to go super deep into it, but personally, I know as a young person, when I was in the neighborhood, if I was in the car and I would see the police, I would think like, okay, we got to act normal. We got to act a certain way, and I definitely feel as though people from our communities don't have the greatest relationship with the police, and it's historical. I know some of my family members have been beaten up by the police. Other things have happened. And so I definitely feel there has been certain experiences personally that have caused me personally to have, a standoffish growing up attitude towards the police. But as I've grown, that relationship has been nurtured, and I definitely feel as though the police serve an important role in our society. Could they have some funds reallocated? Could we have some funds reallocated? Yes, I think so.
I think so as well. Anybody else want to chime in to someone said.
Yeah, and at least if it comes to not defending the police per se, then it should at least the same resources that are allocated for the police should be more towards, their education and towards their training, not just like, other things that are unnecessary, like excess weapons, things like that. It should be shifted towards another more useful, more helpful way.
Yeah, I think definitely, sometimes I see these like officers and I think, how is it that how do you have this job? You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing that, I'm talking about people that are out of shape, that are,
oh, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? That just it doesn't seem like they would be somebody who I would point out of a crowd and be like, hey, that's that guy. This is the guy that I want to protect my neighborhood, So, keeping fit and stuff like that, and maybe proper training. A lot of people say like they should at least have a purple belt in jiu-jitsu or something like that, which is funny, but at the same time, it's kind of true. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to pin somebody down without having to use lethal force on somebody.
And not only physical training, which I do agree is part of it, but like psychological training, de-escalation, that's just as important, So that should be paid more attention to than just like how many hours of training do they get? It's only
Not
a few
much.
months, right? It's only a few months.
And then that's it. That's
just
all
crazy.
they get.
Barbers get more training than that,
For real?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's a fact.
That's a fact.
You heard it here first, guys.
I didn't know that, but
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that just sounds crazy to me. It is crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yes, honestly, I have a couple of family members who have been police or retired police, and I feel like they go in with really good intentions and they try and make a difference, and so sure, there are plenty of instances where bad things happen. There's video evidence of that, and that's been going on for a long time. But I definitely feel like there are some good people out there trying to make a difference, and I believe that.
No, yeah, I definitely believe it. And I think for the most part, that's what both sides are trying to do. It's just how do we meet in the middle, And I'll go into some more in-depth details of how just uneven that balance is. So going into that, one of the staples of this podcast and this organization is education and academics. I don't think that it's something new, right? Knowing that there's an insane gap between educational spending and the spending of military grade weapons that the government supplies for police and for penal reform, right? Listen, I have friends that are cops. I in no way, shape, or form want any part of that job. I have a friend of mine that I consider a brother that has a sister stuck in all this mess. So it's been really tough on him, especially when this popped off with the defunding of the police and how people were acting. I don't want to say that, well, I don't want to put his business out there, but he was really shook. He was really, really shook. So I try to reason with all of this with, compassion and understanding. And after going down that rabbit hole and reading article after article that I felt deemed me at this point, it's like sort of like a mere amateur on the education versus police funding controversy, it's hard for me to understand how misbalanced all of this is. In Oakland, almost half of their budget, of their spending, goes directly into policing. Half of it. Gianna, you've been through a lifetime here in Richmond where everything that goes on in Richmond with the gunshots and the petty crime and discrimination, and you've also been through college and everything that comes with that. Is there any times that you think maybe implementing a stronger basis on investing our taxes in education and proper allocation for resources that you think can directly influence communities on both fronts of the education versus defunding battle?
Oh, most definitely. There should, I'm a big advocate for education, obviously, right? That's part of moving forward, one of the moving forward pillars. But it's just crazy because you see how underfunded, the WCC USD school district is. And even like, for example, the best case scenario, the best student, like the one that gets straight A's, right? Once they get into one of those top schools, they're gonna really struggle, you know, in comparison to a student that gets good grades, that went to a good school district, that had all the resources. You know, like I'll give you an example, right? AP tests, or when schools offer IB, right? IB is like college credit. The more advanced schools, they have all those resources. They have every single AP test prep known to man. They have every single AP test prep, which is essentially free college credit. That's gonna, you know, ultimately lead to less payment down the line for tuition. If you compare that to a student who already has less resources here in the Richmond School District, WCC USD, they don't even have the same amount of prep. They don't have the same amount of opportunity to get those extracurricular, those college credit courses. It's, you know, these teachers are overworked a lot of the time, and maybe they're really good teachers, but they have, you know, just a filled to the brim class, you know, so, and with little resources, so it really doesn't allow, you know, for the same opportunity. So that's why I think there should be more of an emphasis on education.
Yeah, you know, and you know, here's, you know, my cousin Dr. Antonio here says that he thinks that it's also important to understand the history of police, why it started in the white racist system it was built on. I really looked into that, and I didn't want to make it too much about that, but it did start as slave policing, essentially, that then in terms went into Jim Crow laws, and that's essentially how police started.
Mm-hmm.
So that, you know, obviously is going to have a trickle down effect, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. And Myra Naranjo, one of our Kennedy classmates, says that she agrees with what Diana said. She was top of our class, actually, 2005, and her first year at UC, she was almost put on academic probation. And I think it's directly what, you know, it has to do with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just that we're ill prepared, and it's, I mean, what could you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, besides get the word out there better.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I feel that completely. What Myra just said, the same happened to me. Like, I, you know, prepared really well, and I thought, I was like, okay, cool, I did good in high school, whatever. And then I went to UC, and I'm like, wow, this is, I struggled so much. And that's like extra work, extra stress to find those extra resources just so you can catch up to those other, you know, well-prepared school districts, you know. So I definitely feel her on that. Yeah,
I mean, I myself had, I think, that sort of experience as well. I was just honestly scared, you know, because a lot of times you just don't know, you know, the metaphor goes, it's, you just don't know what's behind that closed door. Mm-hmm. So it kept me from going to a 4-year immediately. I went to Marin for a couple semesters because I was, you know, I was literally just scared, and I just didn't know how to go about it. So, you know, we need to improve that. Gee, man, you a little quiet today, bro.
I want to go in exactly on that. I took a couple classes with Myra in high school as well. A couple AP classes, graduated honors, and then I went straight to San Jose State. And then just when I got there, it's like it smacked me in the face. I wasn't prepared as well as I thought I was going to be prepared. I just like not be able to, you know, get to those resources, and like just not using what I had out there wasn't taught to us in, you know, high school. So then being out there alone, just kind of, you're not prepared. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, me being actually, I was put on academic probation maybe the second year, and unfortunately, I just couldn't finish because it was just too much. I don't know if it was because I tried to take on too much too soon, and me not having that education resources out here before I went out there, but I was just overwhelmed, you know. compared to what other people from other high schools, I could see they knew how to organize everything a lot better, and that's something I wasn't really taught, at least in high school.
Yeah. Did you have to work like during?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
But
okay.
just being able to use those resources, I didn't know exactly where to go, who to talk to about, what's going on with my grades, where to get help.
Yeah, because sometimes money could be a resource. I know
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people that take years and years and years to get their degree because they have to work. We unfortunately, a lot of people from our community don't have that luxury, money. But before we go any further, I want to give a huge thanks, of course, to Don Watts for the beat to the intro. Marco, thank you for heading the board today as well. I have a bunch of folks who are interested in starting a podcast. My boy Don Watts can help with that. All right, hit him up on IG and YouTube. Search Don Watts on both IG and YouTube. His name is unique enough so that he'll be the first one to pop up. I tried it. He's the first one to pop up, guys. All right, and Antonio Hines. Let's see. I'm wearing his merch today. He's another Kennedy Eagle, and you can find him on IG as well at Cold Heart EST 87. Check out his merch; it's actually pretty cool. I have some sweats on too, but you can't see those. I also want to give a shout out to my buddy Barbara. We talked to Barbara the first episode. You guys remember her?
Mm-hmm.
The yoga instructor.
Yeah.
Her classes are super fun.
Oh, she's so sweet.
She is. She's cool. She's generous, and she generally loves teaching. And she has that certain something, that gravitates people towards her, and she incorporates all that in her classes. She is Big Booty Yoga on IG. Give her a follow and look into your body, mind, and soul. Barbara working on getting those bums right. She's also she's from a Salvador stand up. Also, last episode I mentioned something that Richmond as a city received when it comes to solar panels. I looked it up, and it's called the No Cost Solar Program. The No Cost Solar Program is coming to Richmond. Residents are getting paid $1,000 to go solar for no cost. Reduce your electric bill to as little as $18 a month and save thousands each year. Look up No Cost Solar Program in Richmond for more details. If you can't find it on the World Wide Web, it's because it's probably showing you Richmond, Virginia. That was a joke. That bombed. That bombed. I didn't even get Mike to laugh. Mike laughs at all of my jokes. All right, guys.
Crickets.
For real.
I didn't know that was a joke.
That makes it worse.
I know, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
courtesy.
Credit to my
Courtesy.
joke. Yeah. So, Kanye West, guys. What any takes on Kanye West? What was that all about? You guys are just-
Should we even go there?
I don't even know what happened.
I'm gonna go on a Kanye rant. Well,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know what happened.
Diana is she lives a little bit under a few rocks.
Yeah.
She's not anti-social media. I think she just keeps to herself.
No, I go on moving forwards sometimes, and I like dog videos.
dog video, yeah. Well, I guess what
Yeah,
Kanye
what
threw his
happened?
hat into the ring, right? He
Yeah.
wanted to run for president.
Isn't
You
it
ever
too
heard
late
about that?
though? It's already coming up. It's way too late, right?
Well, I mean, he's not going to be nominated by the Republican Party?
Yeah. He wanted to
not for a
go.
nomination.
He's running liberal, so
He's running liberal.
I believe so.
Independent.
Oh, independent. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
independent. Oh, that's not gonna work.
He definitely likes to be in the media. I mean,
Is it a publicity stunt? I don't know. Or is he just
splitting the vote.
Yeah.
He must have split the vote. So I mean, but besides that, his rants have been kind of off the charts lately.
his tweets.
His tweets and his rants.
I haven't been keeping up with all the rants. I'll be honest. I used to be a fan of his music
Me too.
early on.
Yeah.
But after what is the second album, Late Registration? After that one, he kind of lost me.
Like 808s.
Yeah.
808s.
That one's okay.
Heartbreak, that was good.
That one's okay. But I like his first album and his second album best. College Dropout.
Yeah.
That's a good one. No,
Classic.
Yeah.
no pun intended, G. And then, and
See, now that's a joke.
yeah, I got a couple laughs, y'all. Sorry, G.
It's good. It's good.
And then Late Registration. I was always Late Registration.
That really sucks because I honestly love Kanye. I love Kanye. Even the clothes he comes out with, I just love it. I love it all. But then it's really hard to separate his antics from his music. You can't really do that. You know what I mean? So it's damn, man, I like his stuff. So it just sucks with the rant. I don't know.
I think he's a real genius. He does this. he does this with a purpose. I mean, everything that he does, I think it's a calculated move that he's been doing for a couple of years. Just when you're so smart like that, you can just tell like he has a lot of knowledge. But I mean, that's a whole nother topic that I really don't want to get into.
Yeah, I think it could be, but sometimes I don't know. It's kind of hard to. At first, I really thought that. I thought, Kanye, he's doing all this with a purpose. There's a little bit of a method to his madness, but now it just kind of seems like, I think at least with this last rant, it's kind of like he's a little bit off his rocker. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe I don't know. It was a little much.
Yeah, I was listening to the radio earlier today, and they said that he was on medication, and he stopped taking his medication just because he felt it was messing with his creative side, which he is extremely creative, and with his music and just in so many areas, media, just his keeping his name relevant. He's a genius with that, but it's a whole other subject.
Yeah, no. Musically, I don't think anybody can discredit him. Like Deanna says, though, it's very hard to try to reason with what he's doing in his music and try to be like, oh, Kanye, he's a overall kind of good guy, but so we have a fact with that we just got from our resident fact seeker over here. 40% of Richmond police are white. 60 are everything else, Black, Latino, and other minorities. So, as far as it being racially, overwhelmed by one race, it isn't. It seems like the minorities and people of color make up most of Richmond PD.
Yeah, that reminds me actually.
On good authority.
That our interim police chief was just appointed as Bisa French. She was just appointed as
she's dope.
Police chief. So, and that's a Afro-Latina woman. So I think that was really good. I was happy to see that, honestly.
She doesn't age. That's like, wow.
Yeah, so another good point that Dr. Antonio puts is that they often do say, look, we are providing resources, not always acknowledging how short-lived these resources are. He knows by experience that, that he's felt that before, because he's worked in that position before. So it's very true, I mean, it's one of those things where going back into that Chinese proverb, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. So definitely true there, Doc Antonio Cousin. Thank you for giving us a few great comments over here.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing all these comments drop in, and we got a lot. I love it. I love to see the people engaged in the comment section, really getting involved. And yeah, there's some really good experiences there that, well, not really good experiences, but experience that Dr. Antonio is sharing. I definitely feel people could relate to that, understand that, sometimes the funding runs out. It's a complicated issue, and they may not be able to continue a program. I can see how that could be heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I just noticed that Gio's mic was off for pretty much the whole time. I just turned it on not too long ago, so my bad, guys. And also, the mic from a monologue was off, so I'm not even sure if they heard that or not.
Run it back, do it again.
I'll do it again, dog. Don't try me with a good time, man. But
bear with us while we, get the hang of this whole podcast thing. There is a learning curve.
Absolutely.
We'll have it streamlined soon. Just give it like an episode or two.
Give it one more episode.
Yeah.
All right. Legislation is up to be passed for legal representation for illegal immigrants to have legal representation if they have committed a crime. Antonio, let me know what you think about this. I wrote this and I jotted this down and I thought about you. This is headed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in Nueva York. We talked about taxes and the ways they are being used. This, if passed, would be a cost covered by our taxes. How do we feel about that, G? What do we think about that?
I honestly think that this is going to be something that's real controversial because people already feel that
as far as low income people shouldn't benefit from a lot of things that they already benefit from. So just kind of reading into this, it seems like a really good legislation that she's trying to push, but I definitely think it's gonna be very hard to get or push through. You know.
D.
In terms of what?
like
Their
like
income.
how do you I mean, just I guess how do you feel about it? You know, taxes being used to have legal representation for illegal immigrants. At least in New York.
Personally, personally, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I personally love AOC. I think that has purpose and meaning. You know, what is this country about, right? It's founded on immigrants, and they're still human. They're still people. Like, why shouldn't they get the same legal representation? And it's not like illegal immigrants don't pay taxes at all. You know what I mean? They pay taxes too. So, I mean, and it's really hard to say, but I'm personally for that. Hope I don't get any hate in the comments.
No, but
You know what
I
mean?
think you hit it on the nose too. I mean, just having any legal representation when you go to court. I mean, everybody is allowed that, you know. So just because them being immigrants or whatever status that they might have should not, you know, prevent them from not having any good legal representation, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about like private attorneys here. We're talking about, you know,
public
defenders and stuff like that. I don't know exactly. I couldn't get around to how much it would cost. But you know, I think, you know, it tied in because it's something that would come out of our tax money. I think I'm with G. It's going to be extremely controversial. Obviously, I think anything that has to do with immigration is going to automatically take that way. But I'm for it. You know, I think that if you're here, then you kind of deserve that right, especially if you're paying taxes, because they do pay taxes. It's a very, I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but immigrants do pay taxes.
Well, I mean, of course, everyone's paying sales taxes, right? When they go into the store and buy
That's
stuff,
true.
property taxes if they own property.
And in
And
California,
if they pay cash, yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly.
And, well, illegal immigrants first. I don't really like that term. We call them undocumented people. You know, we gotta make them humanize them a little bit instead of making them feel illegal. I just don't like that from the get go. But I kind of feel as though, you know, there's a movement, you know, and I think that as the population starts to shift and more brown people start to be born and the population starts to make that shift, I mean, I think it's like a brown wave, honestly.
yeah,
But the next step is getting people to vote.
that's a tough thing. And I don't understand why it's so hard to vote. And like, what's
I think that it's
restricts
really it's a scary thing. People don't understand it. It's really complicated. It can seem complicated. The language that is used when they write these propositions and measures and all this stuff, when people are looking at it, can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right? I know. I have people who come to me and just say like, "Okay, what are you voting for?" And they want a cheat sheet. They don't want to have to do all the thinking or read through that difficult language and not know what they're voting for anyways. You know,
That's true.
Even when they read it, they may not understand what their ballot really means. So that's one thing. And then also, even the candidates, you know, I think the districting is going to be a major factor this year, at least in local government in the city of Richmond. That's going to shake things up a little bit. So we'll see how that goes for the 2020 election. But it's going to be interesting.
No, yeah, you know what? That makes complete sense, man. Especially with people who don't, like, you know, say if my mom was here recently, say it was 40 years ago when she finally got here, got her papers done, she wouldn't know. You know, like, all that stuff would be so far over her head. So I actually, I didn't even think about that, man. So
yeah, you know, I saw this short video, and it was like a 10-year-old girl who was translating for her parents who had been arrested because of they were undocumented, and for whatever reason they were arrested, and she was scared that they would be arrested again, and she was the one translating so that they could understand. And so that's just like an example of how language is a major barrier. And not only that, just like the language that's used on ballots and everything like that, it can be really complicated, and it's complicated on purpose. You know, that's part of it. It's strategy. You know, sometimes you may see someone when you walk into the grocery store and they're like, hey, sign this, what do you call it? This petition, so that we could get this on this year's ballot, right? And they'll say something like, oh, do you want to support kids? Do you support education? And they'll want you to sign it. But you may not know what you're signing or where that money's coming from to support the kids, you know? And so they may not even know. They're just doing their job of getting people to sign the petition, you know? And so I feel like people, the more they get educated, that's what we talked about earlier, they'll be able to understand what these ballot measures really mean, which candidate really stands for what they believe in. And I think there's layers to it, and it goes deep.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, when we had a conversation to begin with, I think the first time that we met up with Mike here at the studio, we kind of talked about having leadership come back full circle to Richmond, and who better to have us to have as representation or sitting at the table than somebody who actually grew up here and knows exactly what's going on. So, you know, that's one of the main goals that we want to establish here. You know, anything that we get as far as monetization for our YouTube channel, you know, is going to go directly towards scholarship towards the scholarship program, which is Deanna's specialty. So we can, I don't know, man, do better. What do you know?
And you know, I'm far from an expert, man. I'm far from an expert. I don't think any of us here are experts on taxes or, you know, any of that stuff. But information in today's age is literally at our fingertips, and it's just a matter of investing a little bit of time into looking up things that are important to us, and not just relying on, you know, whatever media pushes on to us. Yeah. Dig a little deeper, you know. You may be surprised with what you find.
And I agree with you. I mean, this is one of the reasons we started the podcast as well. I mean, just kind of get some information out there, even with the smallest things, like, or, you know, like we talked about last week, stuff like coffee. John didn't know too much about it, but now we're talking about taxes. You know, it's both spectrums of everything. You know, we can talk about the smallest things, the biggest things, just educating each other. You know, the things that we don't know, and then that way we kind of start a dialogue and start learning from, you know, what we talk about.
No doubt. I think that's one of the reasons we started this, is to have these conversations, important conversations that, you know, may not be had in our community. People sometimes just, you know, stray away from these type of conversations because they may feel like they don't know enough about it. So when someone else is having a conversation about it, they may, you know, turn away and avoid that conversation. But that's okay. This is part of us learning and part of us, you know, beginning that dialogue so that we can get more educated. Maybe next time we talk about this topic, we'll be able to talk about it, you know, at a higher level and really do more. But I mean, it has to start somewhere.
Definitely.
All right, let's see, guys. Let's see what we got here. Guess what happened today, guys? Today, Selena Gomez was born.
Selena Gomez. You always hit us with these facts.
He likes to lighten up the mood. That's just how John is.
This is how I am. Selena Gomez. Mike is a Latina artist. Latina? Is she Latina? I know she has a last name, but, you know, I don't know. Sometimes, like, are they really Latina? Are they not? Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, the first solo helicopter flight around the world. Have you guys ever been on a helicopter?
Never.
Never.
One of the scariest things you can ever do. It's ridiculous.
You've done it?
Yeah, I've been on a helicopter. Like I said, it's just super scary. And this guy or lady flew around the world in a helicopter. That's crazy. But yeah, so, you know, I'm gonna say nobody here is an expert on taxes. I read a lot. I read the like I said, the budgets last year. What was spent on education last year and the year before that, and it is a complete nightmare to read through all that stuff. It's not a simple or easy or fun read, but it is there if you guys want to go and see it. And also in the description today are two. There's a very funny video I saw today. Diana sent the link on with Hassan. He was on a Daily Show, right?
He was a Daily Show correspondent. He just did a bunch of fun projects. He was a stand-up comedian before too, and now he has his own show. So it's like a political, not really political. It's more like investigative journalism, but then it dabbles in politics a little bit.
Yeah, and he's really good. He's really funny and he's really good. You know, he doesn't really make it too serious. He's a funny dude. Like you said, he's a comedian, and I mean, it was pretty funny. It was on TurboTax.
That episode was more specifically on like filing taxes. So understanding taxes is a mess. It's a nightmare because there's property tax, sales tax, state, federal. It's just a mess to understand, right? Aside from understanding that, it's also a mess filing your own taxes. So I thought that was a good thing to add to the description. Unfortunately, the tax deadline passed, but for next year, or if you filed an extension, then you should really go watch that video, because it's a piece on how taxes cost a lot more than what they should when there's a lot of available resources to, you know, it's like a really good piece. And so basically at the end, he says that he created a website where you can find these taxes for free, like IRS approved, like it's a credible source, I promise. So that's just something you should look up if you haven't done your taxes, or if you want to do them for next year. So
yeah, no, that reminds me, I helped my fiance get a reimbursement because, you know, she paid a bunch of money, something like $140 or $150 to file her taxes. But if you don't make over a certain amount of money, you're supposed to be able to file free, right? Yeah. But Intuit, and like that's who TurboTax's like parent company is, they make it so difficult to find. And I did some research and I found a lot of, you know, really useful information. And I was kind of blown away at how difficult they make it to find the free file. And the thing is, even if you Google search, you know, how to file my taxes free or free filing, whatever you search, it's going to direct you to their service where they try and get you to pay, right? And it starts off as free filing. That's how they promote it or advertise it. But no matter which way you click through their process, it'll end up getting you to pay, no matter what. But they have a separate website where it's actually free. But the thing is, that separate website is hidden and they don't make it readily available. And so I think they ran into some legal trouble with it. But I think that's the reason why it was so easy for me to get a reimbursement. I called them for her, helped her, talked to them about it, and they're like, okay, we're going to reimburse you.
That's kind of cool.
It was crazy.
Perfect.
Yeah. And
I felt like empowered. Do you see the power of information?
Yeah, that's in the link in the description. So if it goes through that exactly what Anselmo just said, but Anselmo did the research himself, you know, and figured it all out. But TurboTax puts paywalls, you know, so I was tricked into that. I paid $120. I even paid for the extra protection, and I was like, no, I'm doing it myself, so I want to make sure everything is like, you know, perfect. And it's like, for what? It's supposed to be free. So you know, I didn't even know you can get a reimbursement. That's the information right there.
The lady in the video, then they showcased like a little sample phone call, and you know, she was calling to complain about having to pay when she found the free file afterward, and they did not reimburse her. So you know,
that's
you
crazy.
must have put up a tough battle there.
Yeah, this year was the first year I actually used TurboTax, and I got it for free. I don't know if I was being cheap and just make sure I was finding it to where it was not, I didn't pay anything. But yeah, this was the first year I'd done it. Last couple of years I've been using online taxing, OLT. I think I paid a small amount there with TurboTax. I didn't pay this year, so I don't know if I was just kept clicking away. I just don't quite remember right now, but you're probably right that you had to really search for it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, today I think we're done for today. What do you guys think? Good?
We gotta keep this going. I could talk all night. So I'm looking at these comments, and if you really want to, we could jump into some of these comments here.
Let's do it.
Myra Naranjo said, from personal experience, my dad wouldn't vote because of his work schedule. He didn't know he had the right to vote either, right to either get time off legally or get a mail-in ballot. So I don't know. Are you guys registered to vote?
Yes.
That's the first step, right?
Yeah.
You got to be registered.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's unfortunate, huh?
Yeah, well, I think what she said happens very often as well. A lot of people aren't informed with that kind of stuff, so putting that information out there definitely helps. Trying to help your parents out specifically, if they can vote, really helps.
I feel like, especially in the Latin community, in my experience, like there's someone in the household who may have more I guess knowledge on the subject, or I don't know, I guess knowledge on the subject of voting and stuff, and that, it seems like, is who they go to, or who families go to. I know that's how it is in my family, for like advice or any kind of info on what to vote for, how to vote, and stuff like that. I don't know, how's it in your households?
Well, I noticed luckily my dad kind of instilled the habit of filling out the absentee ballots. So I was really lucky in that sense. But what I noticed, I don't remember when we were campaigning for Diego's we were campaigning for Diego a few years back. I noticed that Hispanic families disproportionately just were, I guess you can say, they were more afraid to even ask, because maybe one of the members in the family was illegal. So then they're like, oh, I don't want to give out any of my information at all. Even let's say if their kid was born here, they wanted nothing to do with it, because there was that looming fear that oh man, what if we get deported or something along those lines. So that's one thing I noticed. That was like a block right there.
That most definitely happened in my family a few times, where they're just afraid, or they just don't, why play with fire, essentially.
I mean, a lot of people feel disconnected, that doesn't have nothing to do with me, A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way, for sure.
And Michael just said, how about marking your ballot at home before voting and discussing the matters before going to the polls as a family? I want to say my parents were pretty active with voting and pushing those issues on us and having us vote. So it really helped. I mean, I've always voted when I've had the chance. Just starting that dialogue again, bringing that back, it always helps.
Yeah. See, what Mike is doing here is essentially nullifying that issue. We as maybe second generation, third generation should step up and talk about it with our family members, have them know exactly what they're voting for, and talk to them about it, discuss them, mark what ballots we want, how we want them marked, and take them for them, and that'll help with
And that definitely makes sense. I mean, as far as your voting can keep going on as old as they get, so educating them just ensures the vote, or you can kind of talk to them about each ballot, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, just finding time, I guess, huh? Because I mean, it's hard to wrangle mom, grandma down and be like, hey, check this out, and just break it off into different segments. This means that.
Look, I really believe that there are barriers. People have, maybe a single parent household, or other issues where they don't have, or they feel like they don't have a lot of time to vote, and they may feel like it's not the highest priority, because they don't see the immediate impact. But I hate to be preaching to the choir, but I strongly believe that it is actually of the utmost importance, because they are going to be impacted, whether they believe it or not. It may not be immediate, but it does happen. And then when it's already said and done, it may be too late. So just get out there, take advantage of your right to vote if you have that right. I mean, Why not? You know how many years people didn't have these rights, and how hard people had to fight to be able to earn these rights. So I mean, I just like it's mind-boggling to me. But I try to understand both sides.
Yeah.
Aside from that, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say, aside from that, you bring up a good point, framing it in that way, and also it would probably help framing it in terms of money. Like your property tax dollars are going here, you know, you can decide yes or decide no, and that can have a significant impact, especially when it comes to local elections, because you know, some things pass by a very narrow margin. It really does make a difference. Like if you go, if your friends go, and like the impact it has on your community, you know. So
yeah, or you know, if you just have no motive at all, you know, or just are not just completely not interested. Think about it this way: homeless people can't vote. Obviously, undocumented people can't vote. You most likely know either or. You know, somebody that's undocumented that can't vote, or somebody to say that's a felon that can't vote. Mm-hmm. Just think of it like you're voting for them. You know, like, you know, maybe they really need, you know, are very passionate about something. Like, for example, I mean, I have family members that are undocumented, and a lot of times I think that's one of the main reasons why I vote. It's because they can't. Mm-hmm. You know, so you know, if you need any more motivation to vote, maybe that might be something.
Yeah,
that can motivate you a little more.
And one thing that motivated me, I'm glad you hit on that, is a lot of the stuff in there is about education as well. And me having a stepdaughter and just worrying about what kind of things will be provided for her is on those voting ballots. So I think that's another reason. I mean, children can't vote right now. So I mean, but half of this stuff that goes on there goes for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just find some kind of motivation, I think, is the point of that, right?
Yeah.
Get up out there and vote.
Get up on that flow. All right, man. So, all right, cool. I think we are done here, ready to wrap things up. Once again, this is the FOF podcast. That handsome man, once again, is Anselmo.
Wow, time flies. Every time we do this, we get going. I feel like this conversation took a direction I didn't expect, but I enjoyed it, and I hope everyone viewing also had a good time. It looks by the comments that, you know, people had, you know, a good interaction there. We do appreciate everyone tuning in.
D, the lovely D.
Definitely watch that video. It's not sponsored whatsoever, but I mean that it's really good. It's a really good investigative, you know, piece. And if you haven't filed your if you got an extension on your taxes, or if you're trying to get some money back, like on Samo, I didn't know that. I'm gonna try to look into that. That's just helpful information all around. Don't pay for it next year. And thanks for joining us. You know.
We know.
Yeah.
G, what's going on, G?
Man, every time we come on, I always want to thank people for joining us. I mean, because they could be doing something else, but always supporting us. I see we always get a following of people who usually come on. So I want to definitely thank them. If you guys find any of this stuff interesting or any of the topics, I mean, feel free to share. I mean, you could actually subscribe to us, so you know, that way you get informed when we're gonna go live. Other than that, thank you guys, and definitely John for coming with the crazy intro. I don't know if his mic was working or not, but man,
it was off. But you know, hopefully one of the mics.
I just thought about this. I know you've seen Forrest Gump, right?
Of course.
You guys remember when he went up there on that stage? I think that was like the memorial.
Yeah.
And that's all I gotta say
DC.
about that.
Yeah, the mic was off, and he was like making this passionate speech. I don't know. That might have happened to you.
The war.
You had your Forrest Gump moment.
There's a lot I got to say about the war in Vietnam.
That's pretty much all people heard.
And then they plugged him out, and he said, "That's all I got to say about that." That's exactly what.
Yeah. Before we go, if you have not signed up for the We Run Richmond 5K and you're viewing now, I don't know what you're waiting for. Check out our T-shirts. We just announced what they're going to look like, and this year is going to be our first year providing medals, finisher medals for everyone who participates in the 5K. And all the money we raise is going to go towards our scholarship program. We have a goal of raising $10,000. We're almost there. I don't have the numbers in front of me as of right now, but we're closing in on $7,000 raised for this year's 5K, and we're hoping to get to that 10. So if you haven't signed up yet, it's not too late. August 9th is the date. You can run wherever you're at. It's a virtual 5K this year. We're not doing it in person because of the whole pandemic, but we're not going to let that stop us. still sign up, still support the cause, and help send some young leaders from the city of Richmond to college.
Absolutely. And then we have the census as well.
Oh, census 2020. If you have not completed your census, do that. It's important. Up to $20,000 per person over the course of 10 years is allocated. So throughout the county, make sure that you complete your census 2020. Make sure your household is accounted for. Otherwise, look, they're going to come knocking on your door. If you don't do it by, I think it's the middle of next month, they're going to start knocking on people's doors, and they can knock on your door up to 10 times. So just get it done.
There you go. Avoid that.
Avoid
that pestilence. Thank you once again, everybody, for tuning in. I want to challenge you guys to just tell one person about our podcast. Once again, our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 views total. That gets us to a point of being monetized, and every single penny that we get will be going to the foundation, the scholarship program. So help us out. Tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell another friend. All right, peace out.